Derrière, Le Port d'un Arcane Transcendante is the latest EP from Sedimentum. This is a Quebec-based death metal band, a death doom metal band on this EP, and one of the probably more interesting and impressive death metal bands out of Quebec in the last several years, with close ties to Outre-Tombe and Saccage. And of course, Decryptol, which all of which I've written about in the past, and all of which are above average, pretty impressive death metal bands in an old school style of some sort. This particular band, they've run the gamut between a almost a funeral death doom level demo tape and then a debut LP, which Separation Morphogenesiac is definitely a little bit leaning towards their Demolic-esque side. There's kind of a Disma and Frontalith level of atmosphere to everything they do, but they were creeping around at different tempos. It was a pretty great record that I recommended pretty highly that year in 2022. So their sound is intensely atmospheric. They've got riffs. This is one of the better bands around in this style these days. And so we get a 20-minute taste of what they've been working on, what they're doing, and we'll cut to a clip before I start gushing about how good this is. For this EP, they brought in HEP, a lead guitarist from Trepas, and it seems to have layered their sound just a little bit heavier. They've leaned into a death doom and funeral death doom-esque sound. That means there are three about 7-minute songs on this 21-minute record, and all of them lean into different pacing and very classic funeral death doom feeling. So if you're a fan of the evocan and esoteric, you'll feel that in these movements. You'll feel some of those guitar techniques and sounds. You'll feel what I would consider the peak of that sound is probably Antithesis of Light. You'll feel that in this record, and it is pretty intense. It's something that appealed to me right away, and it still sounds like Sedimentum because they kind of like Ripakulu, bands like that, where they kind of verge on between death doom and funeral death doom. We get big bursts of actual death metal riffs, and we get death metal throughout, so we're not just getting atmospheric doom at an extreme movement, but we get actual death metal in motion here, and it's not highly technical, but it's always interesting. It's always it caught my ear on each song, and the morbid death metal touch to it is just impressive. So the recommendation is pretty simple here. It's a dreadbound, intense death doom metal record. It is one of the best releases from Sedimentum yet. I think this is the perfect sound for this band. Everything I like. I even mentioned how much I like the logo. I put this in my top 10 for the month. This is just a fantastic iteration of their sound. I think I like how everything's developing for this group. And if this is the new standard for what they're going to do going forward, I'm just nothing but excited about what this band has to do. Not much more to say about this. It's just three great songs. And if you're a fan of death doom, death metal, old school death metal, incantation-esque sounds. This has got all of that, but from an interesting perspective it just feels fresh and aggressive, morbid in a curious way. I'd like them to expand upon it wherever they go with it, and huge fan. So that's all I have to say about it. Released on October 25th. Check it out now, and read my review for more in-depth and coherent thoughts on it.